Today, I'm in Austin, Texas, and I'm here for a very fun reason. Formula One superstar, 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton is out here doing some fighter jet training with IWC and the Polaris program's Ghost Squadron jets. Lewis is flying with my friend John Slick Baum, who is the philanthropy director for the Polaris program, and he's also a former Thunderbird pilot. The flight training they did today was the same kind of training the Polaris Dawn crew did before their incredible mission. But what's even more interesting to me is that Lewis actually has a strong interest in becoming an astronaut someday and has a deep passion for space. So after his flight, I had the opportunity to chat all things space and space flight with Sir Lewis Hamilton. Lewis, I'm Tim Dodd.
Nice
to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes with me here.
Pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
I understand you're actually a bit of a space fanatic, aren't you?
I'm massively into space, yes.
That's amazing. I started kind of looking back into some of the stuff you've done, and you've said, I believe, and I quote, you've said, I would like to go to space at any point.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It is, yeah, but I think at this, I don't want to just go up and just float for a second, come back down. I kind of like, that doesn't really interest me too much. I'd love to go in the new commercial plane that they're talking about that does Mach 6.
Oh, yeah.
That will potentially be kind of right at the tip of the stratosphere, but
yeah,
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'd love to go out in a Blackbird.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
That plane is wicked.
Yeah.
But no, but I love space. I've got like telescopes. I've got God knows how many telescopes. I'm out on my driveway for hours just looking up, trying to find.
Oh, that's awesome.
Zooming in from my laptop. So yeah.
Because that's what I was going to ask. I was going to see if like your interest in space flight was like, oh, you want to do a suborbital hop, or is it like go to the International Space Station? Is it do a private orbital like what Polaris has done? I don't know if you're familiar with Polaris Dawn mission.
Yeah.
Jared just did the first spacewalk, commercial spacewalk ever.
Yeah, spacewalk would be amazing.
Which is yeah.
Spacewalk would be amazing. I don't know. I think, as I said, I don't just going up and hopping and sitting there for a second and going back down. The weightless thing, I think you could probably just do that, and there is like those commercial kind of airline planes that you can drop from, I don't know, 50,000 feet, whatever it is, and feel weightless.
Yeah.
For me, it's going to another planet.
Yeah?
That's what I'd be interested in.
Like you'd go to the moon or Mars potentially, or?
The moon, also the unknowns,
Yeah,
and it is really phenomenal when you think of just how big the universe is and how small we are. I find that really like just eye-opening, and just I'm in awe of the universe.
Yeah.
And I literally watched and studied and read everything about James Webb Telescope, and watching it being built and when it was going to be launched. I was literally set a date in my calendar. That's like how much I was into that. And I've obviously seen pretty much all the space movies, but just reading into black holes, and this is, I love it.
So you're both into like space and the unknown in the universe, and astronomy and what about like where's rockets specifically play into that? Like, are you fascinated by this?
When I went to
rockets?
NASA, I literally I sat in the rocket of the original
the original Saturn V.
Saturn V, yeah, was mad.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
And I'm blown away. I'd love to see the new rockets, because they didn't develop those for a long time.
The commercial age has really changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I don't know if you're familiar, but SpaceX landed a 70-meter tall booster from the edge of space, caught it with a tower.
I saw it. Yeah, it's insane.
It's like the most unbelievable
coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I have some footage to show you. We tracked it at 420 frames a second coming back in, and you see it relighting its engines.
It comes down and landed on 3.
Comes down and lands on 2 things. Yeah, on 3 engines exactly. And then it has these catch points about this big, and it landed on the tower with.
That's why when I was watching it, I was just blown. I was like, this can't be real.
It's unbelievable.
And
that's only 5 hours from here, by the way.
Really?
It's right on the border of Mexico and the United States here in Texas.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that technology and how the team that's doing that are unbelievable.
Yeah, it's some next level stuff.
I would love to just see how much smaller that rocket is compared to the first that went to the moon.
These ones are bigger. So Starship is actually twice as powerful as the Saturn V that took humans to the moon.
Wow.
That's it's nuts, because it shakes, the public can stand 5 miles away from this.
And still feel
8 kilometers. And I mean, it's shaking. Like it. And then the crazy thing is, unlike the Saturn V, when they throw the rocket away every time, they're working on making it completely reusable.
Yeah, I've seen.
And so the crazy thing is it comes back and it creates this huge sonic boom.
because it's, you know, going from supersonic to transonic, and like you can see it in some of our footage, it's shaking the grass even. The sonic boom is. It is unbelievable.
That's something I would love to see, is
you need
breaking the sound barrier or break the sound barrier. Like I want to get into something even faster than this.
Yeah,
that's the next step.
You have to talk to Slick, but unfortunately, I think it's actually pretty
that.
mundane. I think when you go supersonic, like you don't in the seat, you don't really notice it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the better experience is watching from the outside.
Oh, sure. That's something I'd love to try, like a MiG.
Yeah. Oh, these guys fly with a MiG-29, and it is scary.
But I have I've read a lot and watched a lot of videos online, like for example, on the Blackbird, and just trying to understand how that engine works. And there's obviously lots of different videos on YouTube telling you about all the different jet engines.
Absolutely.
I'm constantly fascinated by it, because even I looked at like getting a small RC jet plane, because I have a petrol RC plane. It's just mad how they can make such a small jet engine still have so much thrust.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with Tyler Perry at all. Of course. Have you ever seen his collection of RC planes?
I haven't. No, I didn't know.
He has literally a hangar about this size
really?
Of like scale RC. Some of the planes are like RC planes are almost the size of this.
I look on those videos as well. The people that take that really serious.
Tyler Perry might be the most serious of them
really?
all. Yeah, you should look into it.
One of my good friends is really good friends with Tyler. So
go watch him fly RC planes.
It's incredible what he's achieved. Within his business, and so I didn't know he was into that. I did get the opportunity to go and see Ayrton Senna. I went to Ayrton Senna's ranch a couple of years ago, and he has this one room with all these toy RC cars, and I'd seen a picture of him, I think, with a plane, but I didn't know how serious he was about it. But he had, he had electric petrol boats and a couple of RC planes, but mostly like petrol cars. And I grew up racing petrol cars, or RC cars. So there's one particular car called a Turbo Bones, and he had that Turbo Bones also, and that was my first car.
Oh, that's cool. So that's a cool connection.
Yeah.
I've got one more thing for you to do here, if you don't mind. This is as low stakes questions.
Sorry, can I ask you then a question? So
of course.
Before you get onto that.
Yeah.
So then I've been reading about interstellar travel. How they're working on potentially bending gravity and all those sorts of things. There's that one image of that spaceship's got like the ring at the front and the ring at the back, and it's supposed to bend.
Yeah.
Is that possible? Is that something that...
So you're getting well outside of my expertise, but my understanding of this is that, and by the way, my expertise, I'm fully self-taught on everything spaceflight.
All right.
But I pay attention to this stuff for a living, you know what I mean? But okay, so gravity, we're still honestly trying to kind of get a real grasp on gravity itself and how to quantize it, how to, what exactly, how we can interact with it. There's actually a lot of important people doing genuine studies on how you can warp gravity. Can you warp gravity? We see gravity being bent around through the James Webb Space Telescope, through Hubble, we see it bent around black holes. You can literally see gravitational lensing, which is just the craziest thing ever. So we know that gravity can be manipulated to that degree. We even see some studies show gravitational waves.
Yeah.
There's pulsars and things that produce gravitational waves, and we can detect that, which is just makes me so proud
cool.
of humans.
It's freaking incredible.
Figure that out,
it's insane.
And so the idea is obviously, if it can, it's not outside of the possibilities of reality to be able to warp gravity. How can humans do that? With limited power and resources.
It feels like it's hundreds of years away.
It does.
Sort of thing,
it does. But in my world, what's exciting is you can't even begin to do any of that kind of thing until we get access to space being cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's the first step. Is it has to be so ordinary and routine. It's not much different than shipping stuff on a plane or a train. It has to get to that point. And we're finally in that turn of era where spaceflight went from billions and billions of dollars. The Saturn V cost billions of dollars. Those missions were so expensive that they only got six missions.
Where they spent trillions.
It was hundreds of billions at the end of it. In today's dollars. To end up with 12 people walking on the moon, and that's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
That's not. No wonder people were like, "Can we kind of be done with this now?"
Yeah.
And we're trying to get to this new era where it's like, "Hey, well, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. It's a Friday. It's 5 o'clock. Let's go do it." So that
sucks. Me and you're going to be so old by the time it is just that that simple and that easy, and people just popping up every day. And
Yeah. So I have a few questions. These are as low stakes of questions as you can possibly imagine, even lower stakes than Grill the Grid.
Okay. We're sitting in like director's chairs here. This is kind of cool.
Isn't this great? I stole them from the production crew.
You did?
Yeah. I came this prepared.
I once sat in the director's chair of Ridley Scott. It was the coolest thing, and watching him actually film The Martian.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was the most insane day.
Jeez, yeah, that is.
He was filming. They were filming like the last scene. Do you remember The Martian?
Oh yeah.
You know when he's in the park, and he's sitting there having a coffee and watching the squad run past.
Yeah.
That are training.
Yeah.
That scene, I was literally behind the tent
Stop.
watching him, and it was mad. I remember getting invited, and it was on a Sunday of a race. And sorry to be. I know you got these questions, but I was so excited. I was like, Ridley's freaking inviting me to this. And I was so nervous because I was going to meet Matt, and I get there, and Matt hasn't arrived on set. So Ridley goes, just sit here and do what Matt's about to do. So all you have to do is take this cup, pretend to have a sip and like nod to this people going by. And he's literally about to say, go. And I'm shaking because I'm like, holy crap, this is really, this is my moment. It's like
I'm in The Martian right now.
I'm in The Martian right now. It's so cool. So luckily before he said action, Matt turned up. I was like, oh, thank God. and then Matt was like just so welcoming. And then so I got to sit back in one of these chairs for the first time. And now I'm actually directing a movie. So not directing a movie, co-producing a movie, but I get to sit with the director.
That's incredible.
Joe, and so I'm getting used to these chairs. I will have one soon.
That's amazing. So you obviously had the chance to fly with Slick in a jet. Was this your first time actually in a fighter jet?
No, so this is the third time. So my first time was in, I think it was 2013 when I first joined the team. We have the Red Arrows in the UK, and I got to go in one of those.
Oh, that's sick.
And it was crazy because they tell you to breathe because you don't have a G suit. Mm-hmm. And the first couple of times in the turns, I was like, I don't even need to do that breathing. And then we pulled, I don't know at the time how much we pulled. It must have been the first time I pulled like 7 Gs or something like that, 8 Gs or whatever. And my vision just went like
oh yeah.
It was like the Looney Tunes skit, it was nuts. And all of a sudden, like I woke up, it came back to life. So that was the first time. And then with IWC, we did this a couple of years ago. It wasn't here in Austin, it was somewhere nearby, and I got to fly for the first time, which was
sick.
Epic. It was such a great experience. But flying today was just another step in terms of learning more. I got to turn the whole plane on and play with basically all the switches, taxiing. I was able to follow through the whole of the takeoff and landing. Obviously, John did the landing particularly. And then we came and did a pass by, and then I got to pull the stick and go straight up. I mean, it was mad.
You were the one that pulled the unexpected climb.
And then we did some barrel rolls, did tumble turns, and we got to do a bit of dogfighting. So like the other jet was ahead of us, and John gave me the whole controls, and I'm chasing him basically.
Oh my God.
And I just felt like all I could just hear was the Top Gun movie script. Highway to the danger zone. I wish I had that music going with it. It was wicked.
Sick.
So one of the best experiences I've had for sure.
That's really, really cool. And how did G-forces for you? That's your day job. I mean,
but it's so much different. I mean, in the car, I'm used to the G-force because we pull it laterally and longitudinally, and but
it doesn't pull the blood out of your brain.
No, you get very little vertical G in racing. And there's a couple of corners you might feel a little bit, but it's like a hop. It's nothing major. In this thing, face, skin, you'd notice it.
Yeah.
On a massive scale, particularly when the blood's coming out of your head.
Yeah, seriously.
And you're trying to keep it in there, but there's no way to it.
When I was going to comment, wondering if you're like claustrophobic because it's so small, but then I remembered that you basically drive a sleeping bag with wheels for a living.
Exactly.
So
I don't know why I'm tuned the way I am. Like I don't get claustrophobic. I don't really get nervous ever. I don't know why. Like I guess, for these pilots that have to take those tests and operate in such high pressured situations, that's where I'm the most calm. And that's probably where they're the most calm, is when they have to make those important decisions, critical decisions, and
Same with you.
and that's what we do in the car. You know? So
you got to make those decisions.
yeah, if I didn't have that calmness just always, and but like if I have to get up on stage and do a Q&A is easy. Getting up to do a speech, like I just had to do one the other day, and I'm like on the verge of passing out. That's for me the worst thing ever.
Wow, that's
Yeah, my heart rate is like 200, and I'm like, oh, this is so horrible. I'm about to pass out.
that's crazy.
So yeah, I get massive anxiety.
Okay, so here's a few questions that I thought would be kind of fun. How many Formula One engines do you think it takes to power the pumps of an F1 engine? The F1 engines are those massive Saturn V engines. Those, you know, you stood, I think, at Johnson Space Center and saw those massive F1 engines.
How many Formula One? Sorry.
Yeah.
How many
How many Formula One engines do you think it takes to power the fuel pumps for the F1 engine?
I'm imagining. I'm just gonna guess 10.
55
Wow.
per engine. And there's 5 of those on the Saturn V, so take 275
Jeez.
Formula One engines. Each one of those turbines is 55,000 horsepower
Wow.
on the gas generator. What's crazy is SpaceX, what they're working on.
55,000.
SpaceX has over 100,000 per turbo pump
Jeez.
on the Raptor engine, and they have 33 of those. So that'd be like 1,300.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I need to talk to my sport. Why we got such weak turbos?
It's nothing, man. Yeah, they're operating at 300 bar. What are you guys at, like 3 bar or something?
Less. Yeah.
300 bar.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yep,
Jeez,
we're talking
300 bar. Yeah, we're getting 1.6 turbo. You know.
Exactly. Who endures more G-forces, a Formula One driver or an astronaut?
Astronaut. Actually, I don't know what the astronauts. It depends. If you're looking at Armageddon, they, you know. But I think what they're doing, I think they're getting up to 6 Gs, aren't they?
You're pretty close.
Yeah.
You're pretty bang on. On ascent, typically about 3.
Yeah.
On decent re-entry can be higher, 4 or 5, but typically not much more, unless there's an abort. If you abort with the abort thing, that's like 15, 16.
Yeah, that's huge. And you pass.
You're
out,
hurting,
for sure.
yeah.
So then
But-
we pull more than them.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because you're up 5, 6 sometimes, right?
Yeah, we can get up to 6,
Jeez. Yeah. So you guys do.
just over. But it's a different G.
What do you think accelerates quicker, 0 to 60? Your car or the space shuttle?
Our car for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so much lighter.
Yeah, exactly.
Even with this thing, you know, I've raced this in my Formula One car and off on the runway, and it's so slow off the get-go.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'd love to go onto a flight carrier and
an aircraft carrier.
aircraft carrier and see who catches us at the end.
We'll
But
think about that later.
Yeah, it'd be wicked.
That would be absolutely
I'd imagine
incredible.
then it goes quicker, but yeah, that'd be wicked.
What do you think costs more? The extravehicular spacesuits that they wear, like when they do a spacewalk on the space station, or your Formula One car?
Formula One car.
They're actually about the same. Because although yours has
How
the
much
cost
are
of
those
like
suits?
10 to 20 million.
10 to 20 million for one suit.
Mhm.
What? Hey man, I need to get into that business because I mean I can make much cheaper suit that does just that's some BS, man. Whoever's selling that suit, firstly it doesn't look good. If I was ever to go to space, I would be designing my own suit, and I'd do it at much cheaper. Geez, it looks like there could be so many cost cuttings everywhere.
Yeah. Well, have you seen? I think
They need to get a better.
I think someday you'll probably be seeing a cheaper spacesuit.
Oh, you would hope
'cause-
so.
Yeah,
If
'cause
it's costing
SpaceX
20
is-
million, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
You would think that at least if it's spend 20 million, it'll look great.
It has form over function. Okay, last one. Who do you think loses more weight throughout their I'll say their mission? You in 90 minutes in a Formula One car, or an astronaut on a 6-month mission?
An astronaut.
It's about the same again.
Really?
They lose about 2.5% due to bone density and muscle atrophy or muscle mass loss, and you lose what, 2 or 3 kilos a race?
You can lose up to, I mean, the most up to like 4. But
Kilos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when your like drinks machine doesn't work. And the last race, I think I lost Singapore, I think it was almost 3 kilos.
Oh my.
So-
Yeah. You lose that in 90 minutes,
Yeah.
whereas an astronaut slowly loses that
Over
throughout
time.
6 months. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't do 6 months, man. I can't, yeah.
That's all.
Cool.
I just thought you might enjoy some of those nerdy little
Yeah, I love
nerdy
that.
little facts.
Love that.
Well, I got to get you going. I really, really appreciate you spending time with me and hanging out. I know my fans are probably like, why is this rocket guy talking to Lewis Hamilton, Sir Lewis Hamilton? And your fans are probably like, why is he talking to this rocket guy? But I hope that we do see you fly in space someday, and I'll be there to cheer you on for sure.
Thank you, man.
Awesome. Thank you, Lewis.
Thanks for your time.
Awesome.
I owe a huge thank you to Lewis for his time and to IWC for helping arrange this opportunity. They have some incredible videos sharing Lewis's flight, which I highly recommend checking out. There's a link to that in the description. Thanks so much to all my supporters. If you want to help me continue to do what I do, head on over to patreon.com/everydayastronaut or become a YouTube member or an X subscriber. Thanks everybody, that's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people.